My name's Chris.
I'm Christy.
And this is the Washing Up Podcast. And we've just had the first episode of Yotam Ottolenghi Week.
Indeed, it's the Middle East in Masterchef.
It's exactly what we were all looking forward to, even though right up until tonight, I had no clue who the hell he was.
No, I just went along with Karlie's enthusiasm, or Eliza's enthusiasm,
Let's Eliza's enthusiasm. Look, Eliza, if you do happen to be listening to this, you're getting your own segment based on your enthusiasm for Yotam. So
it was wonderful.
It was cute. It was wonderful. Then it got a little bit Basic Instinct a little bit later on. But
I think she's going to bring out the big boiler, looking for his bunny.
No, very Fatal Attraction there with the bunny boiling. So Yotam Ottolenghi didn't know a hell of a lot about him. Did a lot of research while that was happening too. It also looks like tomorrow night, one of the 5 dishes they're going to have to cook. It looks like
hummus.
It's just hummus, and
hey,
you've won me now. Because
good hummus is a magical thing.
I tweeted at one point tonight, just produce hummus, and you've won me for life.
Exactly.
So it was an interesting episode this week. It's fresh off the heels of sort of Gaston finding his groove.
Yeah, he's like, bitches, I got this, don't you worry.
And he sort of continued that on in the Mystery Box Challenge. Now the Mystery Box Challenge, it was, crazy, it was out there, it was weird, it was wacky.
It was Middle Eastern.
I know, it was, who would have thought?
They all got their freaker on.
They got their freaker on, yes they did.
Get your freaker. Sorry.
Hello!
That's it.
Anyway.
I meant to go rose butter, but I completely forgot.
Rose water!
I knew I had a song and it's just gone.
So, rose water, tahini paste, freaker, date syrup, sumac, parsley, eggplant, a rack of lamb, and rose water. Now, again, I put rose water down there twice.
Do you think date syrup was kind of like, Gary or George is going, look,
It was what Eliza...
I just needed a few.
It's what Eliza would have liked, and far more importantly, what Karlie seemed to get in the second challenge.
Yeah.
But we'll come to that. So they did say, you can go anywhere with this. And my first thought was, so everyone's doing a crusted lamb roast, right? Because that's what I'm doing. Crusted lamb. And a few of them did crusted lamb. And you know what? I can't blame you.
No, Sarah did a nice looking one.
Oh, yes.
She got a freaker on.
She did indeed. Now, there were a few of these sort of dishes that I thought were really intriguing. I liked the idea of Nicole doing the Roman gnocchi. It was a great idea. Didn't quite set the way she'd hoped.
No, unfortunately.
But I think that...
But no pressure. It's just his favourite food.
Yeah, when he comes over to the bench and she's like, I'm going to do some Roman gnocchi. And he's like... that's my favourite food. And you just saw this look on her face of both sheer pride and, fucking hell, this is interesting.
She just got a note slipped to her by the doctor to go, do Roman gnocchi, guaranteed win. And she's like, okay. And then she's like, he didn't tell me it was his favourite food. And Matt Smith's in the background going,
He really did seem to just...
Actually, it'd be David Tennant.
He really did seem to just like all the female chefs this week, didn't he?
There's a little bit of enthusiasm
And Ben. But what a guy. I mean, what a guy is Gaston.
He just wanted to be Gaston. Yotam Ottolenghi wanted to be Gaston.
Well, to be fair, yes, every guy there wants to be you, Gaston.
Yeah.
I have told him, I'm practicing for the live performance. And I am going to make Gaston sing the Gaston part. He knows this. I've told you, Gaston. It's happening. So there was a lot of... How do I phrase this delicately? I don't want to get too far into the smut before I get to the stuffing. But the number of eggplant emoji jokes that were potential in the first round, everybody had an eggplant somewhere. They were handling them. They were laying them on the bench. Ben had them over a heat, just sort of, roasting them.
Roasting his eggplant.
There were people slicing them, which was a bit tender for a lot of us at home.
Some people were taking inspiration from Asian eggplant.
Yes. Now speaking of Asian eggplants, I know that the dish was apparently amazing, Karlie, and this was your week and your time to shine. But much like I sort of had a go at Mish the other day,
Yeah.
and I had a go at Mish the other day about doing desserts all the time, which, surprise, surprise, guess what Mish did in this challenge. But
It's her thing.
it's a broader competition. Anyway, Karlie has seemed to drop into... Everyone's sort of dropping into, like, grooves a little bit. And Karlie's is Chinese.
Well, it's her thing. That's what she likes cooking. So,
Again, broader challenge.
and you know what? It fucking worked for her.
It did. She did a Middle Eastern version of an Asian dish, but just because your family speaks Mandarin around the kitchen table
And she
doesn't mean...
lived in China for a while. Like,
I'm still just... I don't get it. Right? You need to do more than just, like, Chinese versions of things.
she didn't. She did a Middle Eastern version of
A Chinese thing.
dish.
Much different, you're right. 100% different, you're right. Yep.
Yeah, just sit back there, Buchanan.
I'm completely wrong. We know this, that doing a Middle Eastern version of a Chinese dish makes it so much better.
It does.
Anyway, Mish, are you going to have a go at me if I have a go at her for doing another dessert?
Look, brick pastry is the new parfait.
Well, it's a brick pastry house. It's not that mighty, but it's mighty, mighty flaky. It's a brick house pastry.
Look, all the judges liked it. They were really
Of course
into
all
a
the
brick.
judges liked it. Last year all the judges liked bloody parfaits too.
Well, there's got to be something new. At least it's not a bloody sphere or a parfait.
I'm waiting for somebody to do a parfait, a matcha parfait
In brick
in a sphere on a brick.
pastry. Layers of brick pastry.
That's
With
gonna
granita next to it. It'll be Callan.
Smoked.
Smoked. It'll be Callan.
It'll be Callan. There wasn't a lot of Callan tonight.
No.
I mean,
I was disappointed he wasn't stuffing his thing with granita.
yeah, you had one of my favourite tweets of the evening. I tweeted it, but was you saying it?
Yeah.
Was we were watching TV and they were in the stuffing challenge, and Callan's got these zucchini flowers there, and without batting an eyelid, Christy looks at me and just goes, "Is Callan stuffing those zucchini flowers with granita?"
Because if he's not.
I mean, like, it's his thing. Surely he's stuffing them with granita.
Hey, you know, his whole granita food dream, which we believe he has.
Now, I said Michelle did a tahini ice cream sandwich, which it looked good, and the one thing I am enjoying so far this week, it looks like we're going to have a theme of baklava.
Yes.
I'm cool with this.
Yeah, baklava cheesecake. I'd like one of those.
Baklava,
A friend of mine cooks one of those.
just baklava everything. That's fine, and we got a second baklava in the stuffing challenge with Tamara, so we'll come back to that one later. But I don't mind the concept. But again, Mish, back to desserts. I understand you like making desserts, but it's change it up.
It's her thing. But she's not showing any, she's showing some kind of improvement and some growth, but it's not out of her growth zone.
But this is what
her comfort zone.
But this is why I'm saying try other things, because otherwise you end up doing what Callan's doing at the moment, which is like not progressing at all. He's just sort of standing still. You know, he did granitas early on, and he's still doing granita.
Yeah, but we don't know what the passage of time there is, and luckily for them, there's still a few people that just keep dropping into blacks. Like Pete just keeps going to the wall every week. He's like, I hear the call, Lord John.
We'll come back to the blacks in a minute, because again, there's a couple of consistent ones.
Yes.
Who were discussing it on Twitter tonight about it's you and me again, brother, back in black. But
Did it.
But my counter argument, and again, not just because we're fans of his, but my counter argument to this idea of we don't know what the passage of time is, so how can we talk about progress, is Gaston.
Yeah.
Who has made
Progress.
dramatic progress. I mean, he went with technique. He sous vide the lamb. He did things that Gary went, I don't know if you're capable of doing that, and Gary afterwards went, no, you did. I
And
was
you were
wrong.
great.
You
Yep.
had it. You got it 100% right.
Yep.
The water bath, the sous vide of the lamb, everything. He did it really well.
Yep.
Used the sumac, used everything really nicely, coated everything beautifully. The technique that and even in the stuffing challenge where he sort of just was one of those featured players of the not quite good enough brigade, and he was a member of that tonight. And
it was in the middling crowd.
And the plating up that he did on that just looked
beautiful,
stunning.
Yeah.
So he's definitely progressing.
Yeah.
And the judges are starting to comment on the fact that he looks like he could, lift a small house. Which is good because I like something that keeps George on his toes a little bit, and a bit unnerved. George goes, "I'm going to punch someone in the face, not you,
not you,
not you." And then Sarah did the lamb cutlets which were freaker sort of crusted, which I loved.
Yeah,
and they raised something in the tasting which I agreed with. Gary turned around and said, a lot of people would have commented that he didn't French the cutlet.
But then you can't gnaw on the bone.
Exactly. And Gary made that point, and I'm sitting there going, yes, I never French a cutlet because the little bit alongside the bone, the gnawing.
You just pull it off and it just.
It's the feeling. If I'm having cutlets, I need to be able to gnaw that little bit on the side of the bone.
Exactly. What's the point?
So who Frenches a bone when you've got flavour country?
French, obviously. And what do they know? They do
wine and cheese.
Wine and cheese and awesome things. But when it comes to lamb, obviously they've got no idea.
If you're French, feel free to contact Muse Madam K on Twitter and discuss what you do with lamb. Keep it PG. So
French New Zealanders need not.
We're not going to make jokes. Move on.
Yes, move on. Next person.
Nothing,
Who you got? Who's in your notes there?
Nothing to see here. Eliza. Okay.
Fangirl Eliza.
It was beyond fangirl.
I feel
when they
her
called
pain.
out Eliza.
I feel it. I feel where she's coming from.
And the whole roast smoky eggplant with freaker dressing. Now, a whole roast eggplant. I'm struggling to not draw the euphemism link here of that's what she served to Yodam.
Yodam, I want to smoke your eggplant. I want to get a freaker smoke.
I think it was at that point that he decided that she wasn't going to win, but she was going to be in the top 5.
Yes. Oh, you're very good. Unfortunately, you won't be spending any time alone with me.
So the five that they tasted were Eliza, Sarah, Michelle, Karlie, and Ben. Ben being the odd one out there. It's the one guy who was like, oh, Ben. He was a little bit like Jim from The Cause. Where it was all the girls and Jim.
He never really loved you anyway.
Although I don't necessarily believe that Gaston is as crazy as Jim, who is a conspiracy theorist. Apparently is a member of a whole pile of big conspiracy theory groups in Ireland.
I don't know. Maybe Gaston is
maybe
the branch out here in Australia. He just happens to cook well.
Jim's followers.
It's
the new franchising opportunity. Jim's Conspiracies. It's a picture of Jim from Jim's Mowing, but with a UFO just sort of sitting there and a tinfoil hat. Jim's Conspiracies. So Gaston, if you are running Jim's Conspiracies, please let us know. We'd like to look into a franchise. But
the Illuminati stuff.
Anyway, the long and the short of it was Karlie won the first challenge.
Yes.
And I don't know if anyone was quite as surprised that Karlie won the first challenge as Karlie, who seemed genuinely shocked.
You were saying, what can you do with an Asian, like a Middle Eastern inspired, an Asian inspired Middle Eastern dish? You can win the first round, and then you can win yourself a date with Yota into the garden.
So the romance picked up at this point.
I was waiting for Osher Gunsberg to step out of a bush.
Offer a basil leaf, not a rose, a basil leaf.
Just a nasturtium flower.
Do you take the zucchini flower?
They're better for stuffing.
So, in a challenge where first of all,
Karlie got to go on a
first
solo
of all,
day.
the advantage actually made sense.
Yeah. It was great advantage.
The advancement, if it was 30 minutes extra and one-on-one time with Yodam. Now,
Well, everyone's looking on like the jealous Bachelorette.
well, we'll come back to that in a minute because she actually said the phrase that picking leaves with Yodam is one of the greatest experiences I've had. Followed by a Masterchef montage of them strolling through the garden. And at one point, he turns around and goes, "What a garden! Isn't it magnificent?" She goes, "It's the most wonderful garden I've ever seen." It was so montagey.
They should have had like come with me and you'll
Yeah, I
see.
did get a little bit of the Wonka vibe to it. I also got a little bit of the sort of just creepy first date.
And Josh comes out as an Oompa Loompa.
You go too far, Stanford. You go too far.
No, not far enough.
But so they came back from their date and they still had half an hour to go. So he works fast.
So he
anyway,
helped her
they
stuff her apricot.
yes, and again in the euphemism stakes.
Is that a stone fruit you've got there?
In the euphemism stakes, we went from eggplant to stuffing like peaches and nectarines and things like that. And that was metaphor central. And so the other interesting point that you mentioned before was everyone had to stand on the side and just watch this.
Yeah.
It was like the most voyeuristic experience ever.
No, it was just the Bachelorette Channel 10's guy. God, let's just do a bit of
Look,
merger.
we're in a bit of deep financial shit. Let's merge our shows together.
Exactly.
But the look in particular that I noticed, there were two of them.
You know who's going to get hexed by Eliza, don't you?
Eliza gave this look
Yeah.
that was just filthy.
Yeah, because I think in the last podcast I called her Karlie. I don't know why I get Eliza and Karlie mixed up. But Eliza was the one on the side clapping as Jess wandered off. So I think she's going to be pulling out the cauldron. And
Next line of curses, Karlie.
Yeah.
So we then got into the challenge. So everyone else then got told they could now cook. How nice for them. One of the first tweets we got were working out, and it ended up being very sort of prophetic in terms of where we were going, was Kira on Twitter who tweeted out, "How long till Pete redoes the sausage roll? It's just a stuffed pastry, mate." Cut to Pete in the pantry going,
I got no idea.
"I don't know what I'm going to do."
I was first thinking a stuffed roast.
Yeah, he goes, "When I was thinking stuffed, I thought stuffed roast chook." I'm like, What?
Yeah, and then you move on with,
So then your second idea, and he still has.
you know, like a Ballantine, like Gaston Din, or...
And then we get into the beginning of, well, let's face it, Smart Central. Because Pete then uttered the lines, "I decided to go with a squid. I mean, it's a tube. It's easy to stuff."
You know, we've all seen the Fleshlight ads.
Oh, wow.
I went there.
You did go there. Well done. And then everyone started, like, stuffing different things. Eloise decided to stuff a tomato.
In more ways than one.
Yeah, well, again, I tweeted at the start of the challenge, surely if anybody messes up, they win.
Look,
Because it's the definition of stuffing.
exactly. You're just taking the colloquial term of it.
Exactly. So
I stuffed it royally.
Eloise had a moment at one point where it did look like she was, you know, when she cut back to her and her dialogue went very Beatles for a moment, which was the, you know, "I look at the clock and I notice it's ticking while my tomato slowly steams," and then falls in a heap. Because I wasn't paying attention the first time they showed Eloise and didn't realise that she'd peeled them. And all I could think was, but the skin holds the tomato together, what are you doing?
Integrity.
Yeah, exactly, structural integrity. If we had and engineered, like Tamara, who does all this sort of planning and developing.
Yeah.
If Tamara had been doing this, she would have known that structurally you need to have the outer exoskeleton.
Like, when I was a girl guide, right?
There we go.
We used to do stuffed bananas, and some clever little...
Stuffed bananas,
Yeah,
you
stuffed
say?
bananas, and some little clever toffee from somewhere went, "Oh, I'm peeling mine and doing it." I'm like, no, it's not going to work. You have to slit it through the skin because the skin holds it together. Plus, then you're not like... And lo and behold, hers, because you put squares of chocolate in it, or like sultanas if you're like the diabetic type or whatever they have.
If you like sadness.
If you like sadness, then you just put sultanas in it. But we did the whole chocolate in there and marshmallows, and then you put it on the fire and it melts in it, and then you just scoop it out of the skin. Acts like a little plate. Not this idiot. Hers just dropped into the fire, and there wasn't enough banana for her, and no one was going to share because she made us all feel like dickheads because we were like, she goes, "You don't know where that skin's been." I'm like, it's going to be on a fucking fire. Like, what do you think the fire's going to do? Like, just avoid the germs?
I say this every week, and I mean it sincerely. I learn a little bit more about you every week. So
I will make you stuffed bananas.
Won't worry me, I don't eat them. So
I will make me stuffed bananas.
are we sure, though, that it wasn't Eloise? Because I only asked the question
Yeah.
because she then did drop the tomato
In the water.
into the boiling water. And
I remember sitting there, and she's like, "I'm just gonna pop it in the water."
And what
for a
did-
minute."
and what
you've
did I say?
You've gone. She's gonna drop it. Plop. And there it goes.
the second she put the tomato in the tongs and put the tongs into the water, and her hand was going, and I just looked at Chris and went, "She's gonna drop this."
And yep, it
Plop.
did. Well, when shit's gonna go wrong for poor Eloise, it's gonna go real wrong.
It's moments like that you realise that having a dream of owning a whiskey bar makes sense.
Yep.
Because you need a drink.
Stick what you're good at.
No, you just need a drink. After that challenge, she needed a drink. Now, in the no-dur stakes tonight, we have Aram, who did a good job,
Yep.
did a great job. But
I thought it was gonna get top 3.
the no-dur comment of the night was where Aram,
Yep.
with 40 minutes to go, turns to the camera and goes, "I won't have time to do a full roast."
No. Really?
No way. Well, Ray tried, but we'll come back to that in Ray Watch.
Ray's like, "Fuck you, Aram. Watch this space."
When we get to Ray Watch in a moment, we'll come back to that.
Ding-a-ding-a-ding.
So we'll keep that powder dry. Now, I do have a question about Aram, though, because he started off sort of getting a lot of coverage. Then he sort of vanished from the face of the earth for a period of time.
Yeah.
Is Aram out here on a backpacker's visa
Oh no.
that maybe has run out, so he's laying a little low until the paperwork's done?
So glad this is in
It's like
America.
he's like, I could cook so much better, but paperwork. I'll just stand in the background.
Yeah. I'll just be hiding behind this pillar for the next few episodes.
I'm just going to peek out from behind the oven.
He disappears from one challenge. Being 6, he's had to duck over to New Zealand to get his visa renewed.
Now, Tamara continued her streak of being Tamara, where she did the apple. She did the baklava toffee apple, which sounded fucking incredible.
I know. I think I just got a little damp down there when she served that up.
Handy to know.
In my mouth because I was drooling.
Exactly.
And the drool fell on
That's
me.
what I meant. Handy to know.
Yeah.
So the question that Beck Pobji asked on Twitter, and I sort of sided a little bit with Beck on this one, was should you have peeled the apple beforehand? I was a bit concerned about what the texture of the skin would be.
But when you get a normal toffee apple, like from the grocers,
That is true. They don't.
they
peel
leave
them.
the skin on.
You are right. My only thing was the texture of that with the baklava stuffing inside there and the toffee. But you are right. I didn't think of that. So Beck, I originally got your back.
Look,
Yeah.
me and Peter Coombs, Australia's toffee apple experts.
You and Peter Coombe. You and Peter Coombe. It's look. So often we say that the two of you just are the expert on everything. Really.
Yes, we are.
Whenever I want to talk Italian cooking.
Or juicy green grass.
Yeah.
and finding where it's gone.
and what you put on top of that spaghetti.
Yes.
It's all covered with cheese.
Cheese.
Anyway,
And God forbid you have a cold. 'Cause
Karlie-
that's when that shit goes bad.
Karlie went a bit MIA after the start of the challenge, but don't panic, she'd reappear.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have to get to one of our favourite segments of the week.
Some people People stand in the pantry, afraid to pick something like grapes. Then they find steak, take it to the bench and just serve it slightly grey. Opaque.
Ray'll be there.
Ray'll be there.
Cooking well, sort of.
Mildly.
Warming steak.
Warming steak.
Forever and always. Though not stacking in this challenge. Well, which I think was a bit of a disappointment.
He had a goat cheese smear on it.
I believe the way that I put it, and welcome to Ray Watch, ladies and gentlemen.
Indeed.
The way that I put it was that Ray tried to insert a craft single into a whole cow. That was the way I figured that sort of went.
You could have at least got yourself a Baby Bell.
No. It was very much craft single, full cow. And
The fact he should have got a fondoodler. Should have done a lot.
The fact that Ray looked at this like cow basically and went, you know what? Yeah, that looks like about the right size to stuff.
I'm going to stuff that cow.
That was very creepy.
Well, I'm trying to add innuendo and it's just going wrong.
You know, wasn't so much adding innuendo there. We were back at the dating show is what we were.
We were.
Now, before that, I commented early on with Ray Watch, though, that we didn't have much until that second challenge. The only thing we really had was the big man hug between Ray and Ben.
There was a brief of him running, just a little run. Just past on the
Slow
bench.
motion.
Yeah, it was. He was bare-chested, carrying a pot under his arm, red shorts.
They're like, Ray, that's not the way you should be cooking. He's like, I have a reputation to uphold.
Exactly.
And a sort of fan blowing and waving in his face. So then we got to the judging. Now, when Eloise had brought up the tomato.
Yeah.
And first of all, kudos to Eloise for not trying to pretend and just sort of saying to them, look, I'm worried that's raw. This isn't good enough. Just don't.
Yeah,
Now, look, kudos to her. And Yotam, who has talked about the fact that he's watched a lot of Australian Masterchef and loves it, then said, I wouldn't let one thing take me down.
Well, as we've seen in the past, Yotam.
Have you seen how this works? Because now she's in elimination.
Yep.
It kind of has taken her down a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, it's put her right on the edge there.
Like just last week. Eggs. One thing did take her down.
Yeah, it did. But then he redeemed himself. Samuel brings up his plate.
Oh, a stuffed chicken leg.
But
Oh.
I'm talking our hipster Samuel, Viking Sam.
Yeah.
His long boat's nice and clean. Long boat Sam.
Okay, hold on.
I thought other Sam did the chicken leg.
Okay, yes, other Sam did the chicken leg. I thought you meant other Sam, not Samuel.
No, I mean long boat Sam.
Oh, well, just call him Viking Sam.
He did quinoa.
Yeah.
And this is where Yotam won all of my love and all of my respect. Because he tasted the dish and went, all these elements are pretty good, but I think there's too much on the plate. I don't need quinoa salad there. And I just about did a backflip.
You just stood up and gave him a round, like a big applause.
You know, I've decided that
Motivation.
Yotam is the hero we need and the hero we deserve.
You should see his war on kale.
If this man has a war on kale, I will marry him. We don't have marriage equality. I'm not particularly interested that way, but I will marry this man if he has a war on kale.
Over to London, they've got marriage equality.
There we go. And I'll marry this man in a heartbeat if he says there is a war on kale. Kale and quinoa. I don't believe kale exists, but we'll get away from that rant right now because I'm quite sure someone else is going to use it before the end of the series, and I can unleash on kale then.
Okay, great. We'll just press pause on that rage.
Yeah, we'll pause the rage. And again, Pete then turned around and tried to explain his one. He goes, well, my original idea was, at which I yelled at the TV, stuffed roast chicken, Pete.
Yeah.
And then he really didn't have a second idea apart from the fact that it was a tube, which made it easy to stuff.
You know what goes really well in a stuffed tube?
What?
Cooked rice.
Yes, and Amanda pointed out on Twitter that I said last week that there's the thing where I turned around to look at ... and normally it's rice, and normally it means you've burnt it or you've overcooked it. No. They changed it up. Pete goes, I turn around to look at my rice, and it's not even remotely close to cooked.
Raw rice.
Raw rice.
Not exactly nice.
Good for a wedding, though.
Great. Pigeons love it.
If they expand and blow up. Anyway, then everybody apparently decided that words weren't appropriate for Karlie, and we all just should punch the bench a little bit. Yeah, not as impressive as the last punching feat that we saw. Mr. Bullock. Mr. Bullock, I salute you for your punching of the tray.
I always thought you were referring to George's little foray at Sydney FC v Melbourne victory.
That wasn't punching. That was weak.
Shove. Okay.
That was weak.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, before we get to the bottom and top three, on the subject of punching, I appear to have become the Don King in the promotional... yes. Oh, you know the Rocky music, well done. In Ben versus Gaston. So Ben versus Ben. Charity boxing. Now, this is becoming a thing. We're working out the where, we're working out the when, we're working out the what charity, we're working all these things out, but I appear to have become the Don King in the situation. I'm looking forward to it. What I want you to do out there on Twitter is I want you to give me some nicknames for Mr. Bullock, because Gaston's already got his, and I want a really cool nickname for Ben on the poster. So I'll be doing up a poster in the next week.
Honeycomb puncher. The Violet Crumble Kid.
The Violet Crumble Kid. Float like a honeycomb, sting like a bee.
No, float like a honeycomb, shatter like a violet crumble. I don't know. I was trying to get in the way it shatters that matters.
Yeah, well, that's his motto.
Yeah,
that's his life motto. No, and again, for anyone out there on Twitter, the Southern Dandy is taken exclusively by Homer Simpson, so you can't give him the Southern Dandy.
The South Australian Dandy. Isn't he from SA?
Western Australian Dandy.
Western Australia. The Perth Bell Tower Dandy. Sorry, in joke.
No. Bake-off joke.
Bake-off joke.
So the bottom three were the easiest bottom three they've had this series. Yep. I did expect that George just would have gone, I'm not even going to bother you guys, just come on. And then Eloise, Pete, and Ray would have stepped forward.
You know who you are.
And that'll be interesting because Pete and Ray have got a lot of practice at this.
Yes, they're essentially Knights of the Watch.
They are. Oh, Eloise has previously, of course, won an immunity pin, which she's used. So she now doesn't have her immunity pin for this. But I think, look, Eloise, if she's on, I think will outcook them. I think Pete's in a really big hole right now. Ray's not going particularly well, but Pete just seems to have lost himself completely.
Yeah, but the thing is, where Pete's losing himself is in his head, coming up with ideas, whereas he's really good at being told what to do and executing it.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
If he has to come up with something, he struggles. When they tell him to do something, he's good.
Ray is fucked under pressure. Ray, love your work, man, but you get, you're like, oh, I was under time pressure. Everyone had an hour tonight.
And in the promos,
except for Karlie.
And in the promos, all they've shown tonight is Eloise screaming,
"Is that my dish?
Is that one of my dishes? Is that one of my dishes?" After there's a loud smash. Yeah. So, I mean, that's scary. The top three was two of the top three were straightforward.
I thought Aaron was going to be in there.
I thought Aaron would be in there too, but Karlie and Tamara were locks.
Yeah. Or maybe Sam with his stuffed leg. That was pretty good.
Diana was the third one.
She was a bit of a...
And with the greeny, which is...
I love George. The greeniness.
Yeah, or George. I love the greeniness. The what?
The greeniness. It's going to be the whole new hero.
Greeniness is the new hero.
Greeniness is the new hero.
If that's the week they do, if that's the week they do kale, if they do kale week, I'm so quitting. Week. If they do kale week, that's going to be a week I'm not on the podcast.
No, I'll just go around the house.
It'll be you and the cats.
So, how did you cope with Chris's rant this week? And she went meow, 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 meow.
She'll host the show quite well. She'll do a better job than I do. So, with that in mind, we move into now tomorrow night is the 5-dish elimination, And then the night after is the top 3 challenge for the immunity pin.
Yep.
Any other thoughts on the episode before we wrap it up?
It was an interesting episode. I think it was edited well. I think it was paced well. And I just love Eliza's reaction to Yotam. Like, that was highlight. Only second to The Bachelorette.
Yeah, I mean, I was waiting.
Karlie on The Bachelorette.
To be honest, I was waiting for We've Only Just Begun to start playing under it. You know.
Why do birds... Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. We've only just begun.
Both of them would work.
Yeah.
So remember there was an outside.
Garden of Eden, baby.
That's a whole other montage. And on that note, we'll leave it there. My name's been Chris.
I'm Christy.
And we will see you on Tuesday night.
Ciao.